The Buddha sat beneath the ancient Bodhi tree, surrounded by disciples eager to receive his wisdom on compassion and boundaries. A disciple approached, his face troubled, carrying the burden of requests he couldn't refuse, fearing he might hurt others. "Master," the disciple began, "I am overwhelmed by others' demands. Unsure how to balance kindness with my personal peace." The Buddha gazed at the disciple with deep compassion, his serene eyes reflecting the disciple's struggle and pain. "My child," the Buddha spoke, "to give without limit may empty your soul, leaving nothing for your journey of growth." He picked up a stone lying near the roots of the tree, holding it delicately in his palm. "This stone," said the Buddha, "represents requests, each a weight added to your spirit. Too many may sink you into despair." He tossed the stone lightly into the pond, watching ripples cascade outward from its resting place in the still water. "Observe the ripples," said the Buddha. "They show how actions disturb balance, spreading outward, affecting both you and others." The disciple nodded, his troubled brow relaxing slightly, as he absorbed the clarity of his teacher's simple yet profound metaphor. "Boundaries," the Buddha continued, "are the banks of this pond. They contain the water's life, shaping its purpose and protecting it." The disciples gathered closer, the quiet hum of the forest amplifying the significance of their master's teachings. "Setting boundaries is not rejection," the Buddha emphasized. "It is an act of love for yourself and the world around you." He gestured toward the pond's banks, their strength holding back the water's chaos, ensuring harmony between land and water. "Imagine a pond without banks," the Buddha explained. "It would overflow, drowning the land, destroying its essence, losing its beauty." One disciple timidly asked, "Master, how do we balance boundaries and compassion, ensuring we do not seem unkind or ungrateful?" The Buddha turned to the disciple, acknowledging her concern with a nod, his voice calm yet full of conviction. "Compassion flows," he said, "not from endless giving, but from mindful giving, recognizing what nurtures both the giver and receiver." "Reflect on the pond," the Buddha said. "It gives its water to nourish, but not beyond the banks, defining its strength." His words flowed like the forest stream, each sentence harmonizing philosophy with tangible imagery, creating connections in the disciples' hearts. "Boundaries," he repeated. "Preserve your essence while allowing others to experience your love in ways meaningful and sustainable." The first disciple asked hesitantly, "Master, what if my boundaries cause pain to those who do not understand them?" The Buddha lowered his gaze, pausing briefly to consider the depth of the disciple's heartfelt question. Preparing his measured response, "Pain arises," said the Buddha, "not from boundaries themselves, but from resistance to change, a natural reaction to unfamiliar truths." He continued, "Loving boundaries include patience, honesty, and understanding, guiding others gently toward acceptance rather than forcing compliance. Compassion," the Buddha reminded them, "involves not only love for others but also love for oneself, balancing internal and external harmony." The wind rustled the leaves above them, its melody enhancing the tranquility of the teachings unfolding beneath the Bodhi tree. "Master," asked another disciple, "how do we build courage to establish boundaries when fear holds us back from confrontation?" The Buddha listened, then spoke with a voice as steady as the mountain, its tone comforting yet firm. "Courage grows," he said, "from inner clarity. Understand your values and needs, knowing they guide your boundaries to truth. When fear visits your heart," he added, "breathe deeply, recognizing fear as a teacher, inviting you to strengthen your resolve." The disciples looked inward, imagining the courage the Buddha described, picturing their fear transforming into wisdom rather than remaining a foe. "Boundaries," said the Buddha, "are like the wind's direction. Though unseen, they guide the flow of life's energy and purpose. His words resonated, anchoring themselves in the disciples' minds as seeds destined to grow into wisdom with time and practice. Remember, the Buddha said, boundaries are not walls to isolate, but paths to connect, leading others to understand your inner world. Master, another disciple asked, what if others never understand our boundaries? Despite our love and clarity? Should we persist or surrender? The Buddha leaned forward, his posture revealing the weight of wisdom carried in response to the disciples' earnest question. Persistence, said the Buddha, arises from compassion for your truth. Surrender occurs when connection proves impossible without sacrificing your soul. Love, he added, guides persistence toward understanding, allowing you to stay true to yourself without imposing suffering upon others. Master, asked yet another disciple, how do boundaries change relationships, especially those built on years of dependence or shared expectations? The Buddha nodded knowingly, recognizing the complexity of relationships woven over lifetimes, entangled in mutual assumptions and obligations. Boundaries, said the Buddha, transform relationships by realigning expectations. They reveal truths, deepening or dissolving bonds based on mutual respect and growth. They do not destroy connections built on love, he added, but strengthen them, allowing space for authentic self-expression. The disciples pondered their master's words, their minds filled with reflections on relationships past and present, imagining the impacts of change. Boundaries, the Buddha said, are the lotus within the pond, rooted firmly, yet reaching upward, untouched by the water's turbulence. A lotus grows strong not by resisting water, he explained, but by adapting, coexisting gracefully, fulfilling its sacred purpose. The forest grew quieter as evening neared, the teachings under the Bodhi tree creating ripples in each disciple's heart and mind. The Buddha closed his teachings for the day, rising from his seat beneath the tree, the disciples bowing in gratitude. The art of boundaries, he said finally, is the art of balance, love, and mindfulness, preserving harmony within and without. Another day, the Buddha walked through the village, his presence emanating peace, drawing people from their homes to seek wisdom. A woman approached, holding a basket overflowing with offerings, her face etched with worry and hesitation, her voice trembling slightly. Master, she said, I have received many gifts, but accepting them all leaves me feeling burdened and unworthy of gratitude. The Buddha paused, observing her basket, its abundance teetering near the edge, threatening to spill its contents onto the ground. My child, the Buddha replied, a basket is a vessel with limits, designed to carry only what it can contain. He lifted his alms bowl, empty yet radiant with simplicity, its smooth surface reflecting the sunlight streaming through the morning sky. This bowl, the Buddha began, symbolizes our capacity to accept. Its emptiness allows space for only what is necessary. The villagers gathered closer, captivated by his calm voice, each word illuminating truths hidden within the simplicity of everyday life. Imagine filling your basket endlessly, the Buddha said, adding more until its handles fray, its bottom collapses, and everything is lost. The woman nodded slowly, her eyes scanning the overflowing basket, recognizing her struggle mirrored in the precariousness of its state. Setting boundaries, the Buddha continued, is not selfish. It is a wisdom that preserves both the gift and the giver. He reached into his alms bowl, holding it steadily, its form a contrast to the sagging basket carried in the woman's hands. The bowl teaches us to accept mindfully, the Buddha said, understanding what aligns with our needs and what exceeds our capacity. A child nearby asked, Master, what should we do with gifts we cannot carry, without offending those who offer them? The Buddha looked kindly at the child, his gentle smile affirming the importance of the question, resonating among the gathered villagers. Gratitude, the Buddha explained, is not measured by possession but by acknowledgement, appreciating the intention of the giver without overburdening ourselves. Imagine offering water to a plant, he said, pouring only what it requires. Excess water harms its roots, drowning its growth. The villagers murmured in agreement, their understanding deepened by the clarity of the metaphor, connecting their lives to nature's wisdom. What remains, the Buddha said, can be shared with others, turning abundance into a flow that nourishes the entire community. The woman with the basket hesitated, then asked, Master, how do we decline gifts gracefully, without causing sorrow or misunderstanding? The Buddha's gaze softened, his voice carrying both empathy and strength as he prepared to address her heartfelt concern. Declining, he said, is an art, an expression of honesty guided by love. It honors the giver without denying your truth. Speak clearly, he continued, with kindness, explaining your limits. True generosity resides not in giving, but in respecting boundaries of acceptance. The villagers listened attentively, their thoughts turning inward, reflecting on moments when they felt trapped by excess or struggled with refusal. A merchant stepped forward, his voice tinged with curiosity and reverence, seeking wisdom beyond his transactional understanding of gifts and trade. Master, he asked, how do we discern what to accept, balancing gratitude with wisdom, amidst the many offers we receive daily? The Buddha turned to the merchant, acknowledging his question with a nod, recognizing its significance in the complexities of human interaction. Discernment, he said, arises from mindfulness, pausing to assess whether an offering nourishes your path or diverts your energy. Before accepting, the Buddha added, consider its purpose. Does it align with your values, or create distractions, pulling you from balance? His words resonated like ripples in a pond, each sentence spreading awareness, urging the villagers to approach life with conscious intention. The empty bowl, the Buddha said, raising it again, teaches us to leave space for what fulfills, letting go of unnecessary weight. The merchant bowed deeply, his questions answered, his mind envisioning the wisdom of the empty bowl applied within his daily dealings. Another villager approached, her face marked with lines of worry, her hands trembling as she clutched a small wrapped bundle. Master, she said, I received a gift I cannot use, but I fear rejecting it may cause insult to my friend. The Buddha met her gaze, his eyes carrying compassion, his voice steady and reassuring, addressing her concern with gentle insight. A gift, he said, does not lose meaning if returned with gratitude, transforming into an opportunity for shared understanding. He unwrapped a single grain of rice from his hand, holding it delicately, its simplicity symbolizing both nourishment and intention. Even a grain of rice, the Buddha explained, holds power when shared purposefully, ensuring that its offering fulfills its true potential. Communicate openly, he advised, guiding your friend with gratitude, expressing your wishes to redirect the gift where it serves best. The woman bowed, her heart unburdened, her mind clear on how to uphold compassion while setting boundaries without fear of rejection. The sun climbed higher, casting golden light through the leaves, illuminating the gathering as the Buddha spoke his final teaching. Remember, he said, the empty bowl is not emptiness itself but space for fulfillment, achieved through mindful acceptance and conscious boundaries. He rose, carrying his empty alms bowl, his steps purposeful, his presence a living example of balance and mindful simplicity. The villagers watched as he walked away, their hearts full, each carrying the lesson of the empty bowl into their lives. Another day, the Buddha walked along the riverbank, his disciples following closely, their footsteps blending with the murmuring water. A weaver approached, her loom strapped to her back, her hands calloused, her expression weary, eyes searching for guidance. Master, she said, I weave tirelessly to meet demands. Yet my threads tangle, and my work feels endless and unsatisfying. The Buddha paused, watching the river's steady flow, the currents weaving together, creating harmony in their movement through the landscape. My child, the Buddha said, a weaver's craft mirrors life. Each thread must find its place to create balance and beauty. He pointed to a tree nearby, its branches intertwined yet distinct, each leaf nourished by its own path to the sun. Imagine weaving without discernment, the Buddha continued, placing thread upon thread without intention. The fabric would fray, its strength and purpose lost. The weaver nodded, her fingers brushing against her loom, her mind echoing the Buddha's words, finding clarity in their resonance. To create harmony, the Buddha said, we must choose threads wisely, weaving only what enhances the tapestry of our lives. A disciple asked, Master, how do we know which threads to weave and which to leave without disrupting the whole? The Buddha turned, his gaze soft yet penetrating, his words flowing like the river, answering the disciple's earnest question. Discernment, he said, arises from mindfulness, observing which threads align with your purpose and which pull you from balance. He crouched by the river, picking up a strand of grass, holding it delicately, its simplicity capturing the essence of his teaching. A single thread, he said, when placed with care, strengthens the fabric, but excess threads create chaos, weakening the entire weave. The disciples leaned closer, their hearts absorbing the wisdom like seeds planted in fertile soil, ready to grow with understanding. Boundaries, the Buddha continued, are the loom's frame, defining the fabric's shape, ensuring each thread finds its rightful place. A farmer nearby, overhearing the conversation, asked, Master, how do we set boundaries when others expect us to provide without limits? The Buddha looked at the farmer, acknowledging his struggles with a nod, his response thoughtful, connecting deeply with the question. Limits, the Buddha said, are not barriers but guideposts, directing energy toward meaningful effort, preserving the integrity of your purpose. Speak openly, he advised, about your limits. Those who understand will respect them, and those who resist will find other paths. The farmer bowed, his shoulders lighter, his mind clearer, ready to balance his responsibilities with the wisdom of mindful boundaries. Another disciple asked, Master, what if setting boundaries results in rejection or loss of relationships we hold dear? The Buddha's expression grew contemplative, his voice steady as he addressed the complexity of the disciple's heartfelt concern. Rejection, he said, is not failure but redirection, revealing paths meant to align with your truth and nourishing your growth. Loss, he added, is an opportunity to release attachments, creating space for connections rooted in mutual respect and authenticity. The disciples reflected on the Buddha's words, their minds exploring the courage required to accept change and the grace to adapt. The weaver spoke again, her voice stronger, asking, Master, how can I weave my life's tapestry without fear of making mistakes? The Buddha smiled gently, his wisdom flowing like the river's current, guiding the weaver's heart toward understanding and clarity. Mistakes, he said, are threads of learning, adding depth to your tapestry, teaching resilience, and enriching the fabric of experience. Do not fear imperfections, he added. They are the lotus's roots, grounded in mud, supporting the flower's ascent to beauty. The weaver bowed deeply, her hands resting on her loom, her heart inspired to weave with intention, courage, and grace. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the river, its light illuminating the harmony of nature and the Buddha's teachings. Remember, the Buddha said, your life is a tapestry. Boundaries are its threads, chosen with love, woven with mindfulness and care. He rose, leading his disciples along the riverbank, their footsteps weaving paths of wisdom, their hearts full of the day's lessons. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.